Not 50 feet, not 100 feet. Lake Mead has dropped more than 160 feet since the year 2000, and right now it sits at barely 31% capacity. Here is what nobody is talking about. Beneath that dying reservoir, Las Vegas drilled a $1.4 billion tunnel straight through the lakebed. It is 3 miles long, and it was dug by a 20-foot boring machine under crushing pressure, so the city could keep pulling water even if the lake drops to levels no one thought possible. It worked. Las Vegas can now drink from the bottom of a reservoir that is actively dying. Did Las Vegas just save itself while guaranteeing everyone else runs dry first? Here is the dark twist. The tunnel works, but the lake is still dying, and Las Vegas keeps building. 40 million people depend on the Colorado River. 7 states are fighting over water that was overallocated a century ago. And one desert city just engineered a way to be the last one standing. Stay with me. Wild Earth covers what the mainstream will not. Subscribe. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to where this whole gamble began. 4 inches. That's all the rain Las Vegas gets in an entire year. 2 million people call this place home. And every year, 40 million more fly in to chase luck under neon skies. Strip away the casinos and the fountains, and you're left with a city that should not exist. But it does. Built on a promise that water would always flow. Bob Greipentag remembers when that promise felt unbreakable. His family arrived before the boom, when the valley was still a patchwork of dusty motels and empty lots. Then came the Hoover Dam, an engineering marvel meant to tame the Colorado River and turn desert into empire. The dam didn't just hold back water, it unleashed a tidal wave of ambition. Hotels rose from sand, highways cut through rock, and the world's brightest lights flickered to life in a place that gets less rain than Death Valley. Las Vegas grew faster than anyone could imagine. By the 1990s, the city was drawing more tourists than New York or Paris. The number hit 40 million a year, enough to fill the Rose Bowl every single day. Each visitor showers, flushes, eats, and leaves behind a water footprint that multiplies the pressure on a system never designed for this scale. The city's economy became a high-wire act, half of all jobs tied to tourism. Every dollar spent in a casino or hotel depending on water pumped from a lake 100 miles away. When the pandemic hit, visitor numbers crashed by 50% almost overnight, and the city's vulnerability was laid bare. And it gets worse. Las Vegas isn't just gambling with its own future. Every drop it pulls from Lake Mead is a drop someone else can't use. The question hangs in the dry air. Should a city of millions, built on 4 inches of rain, keep growing, or is this the ultimate act of hubris? The next chapter isn't about growth. It's about what happens when the water runs out. 160 feet. That is how far Lake Mead has dropped since the turn of the millennium. 31%. That is all that is left. Less than a third of the reservoir that once crowned the American West. At the marinas, every new low means another desperate move. In 2021, the cost to haul docks and ramps down the exposed lakebed topped $100,000 each time, a price tag that stings for families like Gail Kaiser's, who have worked these waters for decades. The bathtub ring, a band of white mineral on the canyon walls, now towers above boaters, marking every foot lost. But the numbers only tell part of the story. In 2000, boats floated at 1,214 feet above sea level. By 2024, the surface hovered near 1,065 feet. That is the height of a 16-story building gone. The waterline has retreated so far that entire neighborhoods of docks sit stranded in the desert, and the once bustling launch points have become graveyards of twisted metal and sun-bleached hulls. Each foot lost means less pressure for Hoover Dam, less power for the grid, and less water for the millions downstream. When the Bureau of Reclamation declared a formal shortage in 2021, it was not just a bureaucratic move, it triggered automatic cuts. Arizona lost nearly 1/5 of its supply, Nevada a slice more, while California's allocation barely budged. Is it fair that California still takes about 3 times Arizona's share, even as the system collapses? Gail Kaiser remembers when the lake was full. Now she watches neighbors pack up, their livelihoods floating away with the receding shoreline. The crisis is not abstract. It is a shrinking reservoir, a vanishing lifeline, and a question that will not go away. Should a city of 2 million, built on 4 inches of rain, keep drilling deeper for water, or is this the last roll of the dice? And it gets worse. The next move is not about conservation. It is about drilling under the lake itself, gambling on an engineering fix while the reservoir continues to vanish. CTA number 1. 3 miles, 20 feet, $1 billion. That is the scale of the tunnel Southern Nevada Water Authority carved beneath Lake Mead, a last-ditch lifeline drilled through bedrock as the reservoir above collapsed. The engineers called it intake number 3, but the numbers barely capture the audacity. A tunnel boring machine the size of a subway car, weighing nearly 2,000 tons, was lowered piece by piece into a launch shaft and assembled in a custom-built chamber. Its steel cutter head chewed through solid rock under 15 bars of pressure, enough to crush a car, while workers followed in its wake, bolting together more than 1,000 concrete rings with tolerances measured in millimeters. The margin for error was 0. Miss the target, and Las Vegas could lose its only reliable water supply. The tunnel stretches from the lake's floor 600 feet down, deeper than the Eiffel Tower is tall, to a new pumping station on the shore. In April 2022, as Lake Mead hovered near historic lows, the pumps roared to life, pulling water from depths that would outlast every other city's intake. The project's price tag was $1.4 billion. The human price included a fatal accident in 2012. A worker lost to the darkness beneath the lake. Was it worth it? The answer depends on whether you believe survival justifies any cost or whether a city built on 4 inches of rain should exist at all. And it gets worse. The tunnel guarantees water for Las Vegas, but every gallon it draws is a gallon someone else can't use. Las Vegas is allowed just 300,000 acre-feet of Colorado River water each year, enough to keep the city alive, but only barely. Nearly every faucet, shower, and fountain in the valley depends on that single number. 40 million tourists arrive each year, each one drawing from a supply that is already stretched thin. While the city drills deeper, most of the river, about 80%, still disappears into fields of alfalfa and cotton, irrigating crops in the hottest parts of the Southwest. Cities often take the blame, but agriculture uses far more. Pat Mulroy, who once led the Southern Nevada Water Authority, put it plainly: without the third intake, Southern Nevada would be shutting its doors. That tunnel did not just buy time for Las Vegas. It forced every city and farm downstream to face a new question. When the water runs out, who drinks last? The city's survival comes at a cost. The moral price is not measured in dollars or engineering, but in the silence that follows when a city refuses to surrender. 4,400,000 acre-feet. That is California's legal slice of the Colorado River. Enough water to cover the city of Los Angeles in 10 feet of water every year. Arizona gets 2.8 million acre-feet. Nevada, just 300,000 acre-feet. The numbers are not suggestions, they are written into law, locked in by the 1922 Colorado River Compact and enforced by federal decree. When the Bureau of Reclamation declared a shortage, the cuts hit Arizona first, an 18% reduction overnight, nearly 500,000 people's supply gone with a signature. California's allocation barely moved, shielded by senior rights that date back a century. The state's flexible protection clause guarantees its 4,400,000 acre-feet, even as the river dries up. Is it justice when the largest user keeps its full share while others face rationing? Or is it the price of being first in line? The math is not just numbers on a page, it is the dividing line between survival and collapse. And it gets worse. The next battle is not over city taps, but over endless fields of green in the middle of the desert. 47%. Nearly half the Colorado River's remaining water is poured into alfalfa and other cattle feed crops, enough to drown the Las Vegas Strip in green fields year after year. Every time a steak lands on a plate in Tokyo or Shanghai, the river pays. In the Imperial Valley, a single corporate farm can draw more water than the entire city of Las Vegas. Yet when the cuts come, cities get squeezed first. Lisa Duncan, a third-generation farmer, does not flinch. She says, "If you take away our water, you take away your food." That is the line in the sand. But whose food? And at what price? When 80% of the river goes to agriculture and nearly half goes just to cattle feed, what happens when the last city left standing is told to wait its turn behind a field of alfalfa? The fight is not just over water, it is over whose needs matter most when the river finally runs dry. And it gets worse. 31%, 40 million people, one lifeline left. Las Vegas drinks, while the rest of the Southwest faces the tap running dry. Should a desert city survive when the river fails? Or is drilling deeper just a slower form of surrender? The clock is still running. Drop your argument below.